Time to write code with AI. So in this video, I give you step by step to do a hello world using Java and LangChain. The first step naturally is setting the configuration. So as you can see here, I'm using a Maven project with Java SE to simplify. Naturally, you can use with REST, whatever you wish. On this scenario, to do the hello world, I will use Java SE with CDI. So let's cover the dependencies that I have here. So I have the Eclipse MicroProfile configuration where I'm gonna put a couple of settings, mostly around AI in this case, the CDI implementation, that is the Weld, and then the extension to use the LangChain4j with CDI. So this one here to work with CDI, this one here is to work with the MicroProfile configuration. As I mentioned in the previous video, I did this relationship between Jakarta Data, Spring Data with AI. So Lang4j work as AI Orchestrator. Let's think as the OpenAI as the JDBC driver. So in this case, it's pretty clear that I will use OpenAPI provider. I have here my settings, my configuration. So I have my class that will initialize, as you can see, OpenAPI. Then I have my API key and my model name. Remember, never ever expose your API key. In this case, naturally, it's temporary one and you are able to see. But as a recommendation, use and set and inject that as system environment. So I'm using here just to simplify. Whole setup, okay, let's move to our first sample of this video. The first one, we'll do the classic hello world with AI. That means let's create a assistant where I will do a couple questions and then the reply. So I will send a raw data and then return a raw data. To make it possible, I need to do in a simple way. So I will create my interface as my assistant service, where, as I mentioned before, it looks like Spring Data or Jakarta Data. I need to put a couple of annotations. So the first one naturally is to register this one as my AI service. And then I will set this one here as application scoped. And then I will do my chat with my prompt. And that is it. So I don't need to do anything else based on the configuration. Now I will create our app class. So app class, public static void main, where I have my SE container, my container. I will use try with restores to make sure it will close. And then as you can see, so using my container, I will inject the assistance. Then I will ask the capital of France, and then they will give me the response. So I will execute it right now. Let's see. So the first step is, okay, it's complaining because I don't have requests. What I can do here is to create my request context controller. 1 second. Request context controller. I will inject here. I will activate. And then I will deactivate. So let's run again. 1 second. So it takes a little bit of time. And then as you can see, my answer was Paris. I asked what is the capital of France, and then it replied with Paris. The next sample, I will elaborate a little bit more. So let's use the book recommendation, where based on the book title and then the author, I need to return to you at least 3 books and the reason why I recommend that for you. So this one here, we're gonna have not a raw data, but a book structure. So let me start creating that. So I come here, I go to package, I will create my books package. I will create initially, let's say, our book structure. So I will define as records this time. And here I have the title, the author, the description, and let's say the list of keywords. So now I have the book, and then I will create my recommendation. That is also a record structure. So recommendation. That basically is my book with the reason. Book and the reason. Okay, thank you. So right now I have two structures. So the book and then the book recommendation. I will create one more. Let's define as the next read books, where this one will be also a record and it will receive a list of recommendation. Okay, so right now we have the output. Let's create the input. That is my request, where I will also, using records, have my book request. That is basically the title and the author of this book. Okay, so right now we have the whole structure, the whole modeling. And let's move on to the next step, that is creating a service. Create a book service. I will do the same approach. So I will create, let's say, an interface that is the next read book service. This one will be also application scoped with register to AI. I have the next books, the next read books. I have the request, and then I need to define my system message. So where I have the, let's say, the information that I want to provide to my prompt. So let's define this way as a context. So to simplify, naturally I will accelerate this video so you don't need to see me type. And the return will be something like this. So recommend up to 3 books that should naturally follow the provide book and learning journey. So I'm defining the structure, I'm defining the information, and then I request, okay, give me my book request. Therefore, the author and the title that we defined before, it should return a list of 3 books recommendation that has the book information plus the reason. Why do you recommend this book for me? The next step is to create my book app. So book app, where I will create and inject my SE container, and let's use a pretty similar structure that we have. We don't have book service. We have the next read book service. So let's define as book, and then this one here, next read books, and this one return a list of recommendations, where naturally what I can do is define this here. So given this book, I will return my recommendation. So I run this class right now. Oh yeah, it will complain about the Java request controller. I will activate and then deactivate it. If you are using REST application, don't need to handle about this. In my case, I need because I use in Java SE. Okay, so deactivate it, and then I will execute again. So it's loading based on the grade caps. It will return for me the title, the author, and then also the reason why they did recommend that for me. As I mentioned before, it might take long. It may vary off the question that we're doing. the search, and so on. So let's see. Here we go. The book clean architecture, the reason, domain-driven design, so the data-driven intensive application, and so on. So given the book, it returned for me our recommendation to the next book. Naturally, one thing I need to pay attention is we need to put as much context as possible to decrease the number of hallucination. That is it for today. Hopefully you enjoy. And if you want to keep learning about Java and become a better software architect and engineer, subscribe in this channel and also give your thoughts about Java and AI.